At 60, 70, even 80, many people believe that sex should be left in the past, like high school dances or summer romances, long faded. But what if stepping away from intimacy isn't a natural part of aging, but a silent loss, one that slowly steals your health, your joy, and the precious years you still have ahead? After more than 3 decades of walking alongside older patients, I can say with certainty, sex isn't a luxury in your later years, it's a lifeline. You might not notice it at first. Just a little morning fatigue, a few stares making your heart race, a slight haze over your memory. Then emotional changes begin to creep in: loneliness, a sense of being forgotten, a growing disconnection. But that may not be age speaking. It may be the quiet consequence of a life stripped of physical intimacy. Because sex, at any age, isn't just about the body. It's the thread that weaves together our physical vitality, emotional grounding, and personal dignity. And when that thread unravels, the body and soul begin to fray in ways you never expected. There's something few people realize. Your heart, not just the symbol of love, but the literal engine of life, deeply needs intimacy to stay healthy, especially after you turn 60. We're taught that heart health comes from clean eating, regular exercise, or following doctor's orders. But there's one form of physical activity that science has shown to be just as beneficial, perhaps even more profoundly so: physical intimacy. Sex, at any age, is not merely an act of pleasure. It's a gentle form of movement that boosts blood circulation, supports stable blood pressure, and maintains the elasticity of your blood vessels. For older adults, these effects become not just helpful, but vital. Long-term studies have revealed that seniors who maintain a consistent sex life have significantly lower risks of heart disease compared to those who give it up entirely. It's not about frequency or performance. It's about the quiet, steady rhythm of connection. But when intimacy slips quietly out of your life, not because you've stopped loving, but because you believe it's time to let go, your body quietly follows suit. Circulation weakens. Blood pressure swings. Tiny vessels stiffen and lose resilience. Your heart becomes more sensitive to stress, inflammation, and silent forms of damage. Imagine this: if you forgot to take your heart medication, you'd worry. But when you stop being physically close to someone, you rarely notice the impact, even though its silent consequences can be just as harmful. Sex, in its most natural and heartfelt form, is protecting your heart in ways no pill ever could. And that's why, at any age, your heart still needs to be touched with love, with connection, with the warmth of another human being. When we think about maintaining physical health in our later years, most of us picture morning walks, gentle stretches, or quiet physical therapy sessions under the sterile lights of a hospital room. But there's another way, more natural, more tender, and profoundly human: physical intimacy. Few people realize that every act of sexual connection in old age is not just an emotional bond, but also a gentle, deeply nourishing form of physical exercise for the entire body. Sex, when approached with slowness and mutual care, becomes a graceful form of movement. It engages multiple muscle groups from the back, abdomen, and hips to the thighs, and especially benefits joints that are prone to stiffening over time. The small gestures, the soft touches, the lingering embraces, they all help make knees more supple, ease the tension in the spine, and improve balance in everyday life. This isn't just love, it's therapy in motion. On the flip side, when intimacy gradually disappears from a couple's life, the body begins to speak through subtle signs: a stiffer back in the morning, a more hesitant step, hands that no longer move with their old fluidity. No one talks about it, but deep down, that physical stagnation often springs from an emotional void, an absence where closeness used to live. The aging body doesn't just need nutrients or prescriptions. It needs to be touched, to feel connection, to be awakened by love. Every touch becomes a reminder that you're still here, still capable of feeling, still able to experience joy. Don't let fear or silence steal that gift away, because a body that is loved is a body that still holds vitality, and a soul that can still reach for another has never truly grown old. As we enter the later chapters of life, many begin to notice a gentle slowing of the mind, forgetting an old friend's name, struggling to find the right word, or even feeling momentarily lost on a street that once felt like home. It's a quiet fear shared by many, because memory loss isn't just about losing sharpness. It feels like losing pieces of yourself. But what few realize is that one of the most natural, accessible ways to keep the mind alert and the spirit alive comes from something deeply human: physical intimacy. Sex, or any loving act of closeness, is far more than pleasure. It's a delicate biological dance, during which the brain releases powerful neurotransmitters like dopamine, which boosts motivation and joy, oxytocin, which deepens trust and connection, and endorphins, which ease pain and lift the mood. These aren't fleeting sensations. They help nurture and preserve neural pathways, allowing the brain to stay agile, responsive, and more resistant to the natural decline of aging. For older adults, especially after retirement when mental stimulation often wanes, the absence of physical intimacy can quietly push the brain into a kind of hibernation. Without touch, without emotional connection, the brain's bioelectrical activity dims, making room for anxiety, apathy, and, in some cases, the early stages of depression or cognitive decline. In contrast, a gentle touch, a warm kiss, or a moment of genuine intimacy, when rooted in connection, can light up the central nervous system. It reminds the brain that you're still here, still feeling, still capable of loving and being loved. And that's why multiple studies have found that seniors who maintain some level of sexual connection, even modestly, show significantly better memory retention and mental clarity than those who live in physical isolation. Sex is not the epilogue of youth, it's a tonic for the aging brain. It slows the quiet creep of forgetfulness and keeps the fire of awareness alive. No matter the number of candles on the cake, intimacy remains a powerful reminder that life still has beauty to offer, and your mind still has something to dance for. As we grow older, we don't just face the visible changes of the body, we quietly wrestle with more delicate, often overlooked shifts in our emotional world. One of the most subtle yet profound of these is the fading of deep emotional connection between two people. Many older couples live under the same roof, share the same meals, sleep in the same bed, yet feel like distant roommates. They still care out of duty, still check in out of habit, but the feeling of being truly loved, truly seen, truly touched in the soul somehow, somewhere, has quietly slipped away. For the young, sex might be about passion, but for the aging heart, it becomes something much deeper. A silent language of trust, a testament that love still breathes, a bold act of staying open and connected. When sexual intimacy disappears, the emotional atmosphere of the home often shifts. The hurried hugs fade, the loving glances turn into absent-minded stares. The late night talks about memories, dreams, and each other quietly vanish. Slowly, each partner retreats into their own world, a space that may feel peaceful, but lacks warmth. Loneliness isn't just the absence of people. True loneliness is lying next to someone you once loved deeply and still feeling empty inside. And that emptiness, when prolonged, can silently lead to depression, high blood pressure, weakened immunity, serious consequences born from something seemingly invisible, the loss of physical and emotional intimacy. Keeping the flame of connection alive doesn't mean having constant sex. It means keeping the touch, the gaze, and the heart in conversation. It's listening to the unspoken needs of the one beside you. It's daring to hold hands during an evening walk, to embrace before sleep, to whisper an old "I love you" with fresh sincerity. Because in old age, intimacy is no longer an instinct, it's a choice to keep loving, a choice to stay present, a choice to say, even after all these years, you still matter to me. Old age often brings restless nights, fragmented sleep, and mornings clouded with fatigue. Many accept this as an unavoidable part of aging, a slow unraveling of the body's natural rhythms. But few realize that one of the silent, overlooked reasons behind this decline may lie in the absence of physical intimacy. Sex, once a spontaneous instinct, might actually be the missing key to unlocking deep, restorative, healing sleep. After orgasm, the body releases a hormone called prolactin, a natural sedative that creates feelings of drowsiness, peace, and safety. Alongside it, oxytocin, the so-called cuddle hormone, is also released, calming the nervous system, dissolving anxiety, and slowing the breath. These aren't fleeting reactions. They are part of a finely tuned biological process designed to ease the body into true rest. That's why many people find themselves falling asleep faster and sleeping more soundly after moments of intimacy. But when sex quietly fades from an older person's life due to worry, health concerns, or the belief that those days are behind us, these beneficial biological cascades fade too. The nervous system becomes more reactive to stress. The body stops producing enough relaxation hormones, and the brain loses its chance to exhale after the emotional noise of the day. What follows is a cycle of sleepless nights, racing thoughts, and a creeping loneliness that lingers until dawn. Sleep isn't just the end of the day, it's the body's sanctuary where it heals, regenerates, and finds balance. And intimacy, whether tender or passionate, is the natural bridge to that sacred space. If you've been sleepless for years, maybe what you're missing isn't just a sleeping pill. Maybe it's an embrace, a gentle connection, the quiet affirmation that your body still matters, that you are still seen, still held, still worthy of rest wrapped in love. At 60, 70, even 80, there is a quiet shift in the soul that few dare to name the slow unraveling of self-confidence. When tender touches fade, when the longing in a partner's eyes begins to dim, we don't just lose intimacy, we begin to lose our connection to ourselves. Many older adults confess that they avoid mirrors, shy away from their own skin, not because their bodies have changed, but because they no longer feel desired. The absence of sex in later life is not just the absence of a physical act. It's the loss of an unspoken yet powerful message. You are still alive. You are still worthy of love. You still matter. When the hugs become fewer, when there are no caresses or whispered words in the dark, it becomes easy to believe that you are no longer a lover, just a silent figure in a familiar home. This quiet invisibility inside the most intimate relationship often leads to withdrawal, to self-doubt, and eventually to a slow surrender of joy. A person may take their vitamins, go for morning walks, eat nourishing meals, but if the heart no longer feels touched, something essential remains missing. The good news is, confidence does not belong to youth. It belongs to connection. One loving glance, one unexpected embrace, one slow evening wrapped in togetherness, that is all it takes to awaken the self-assurance buried beneath the years. When the body is cherished and the heart is heard, wrinkles become grace lines, and every step feels a little lighter. Sex in old age is not a competition with youth. It is a return to yourself, full of confidence, reverence, and love. At 60, 70, or even 80, when immunity begins to wane, most people turn to the usual prescriptions: vitamin supplements, daily exercise, strict diets, or immune-boosting medications. All of these are valid and valuable, but there's one medical secret often forgotten, one that doesn't come in a pill, isn't sold at a pharmacy, and requires no prescription. It's sex, a seemingly instinctual act that, in truth, serves as one of the most powerful natural immune boosters available to older adults. Multiple scientific studies have confirmed that older individuals who maintain a regular sex life tend to have higher levels of immunoglobulin A, IgA, a crucial antibody that defends the mucosal linings of the respiratory, digestive, and reproductive tracts. These linings are the body's first line of defense against viruses, bacteria, and harmful pathogens. Touching, holding, and sharing physical pleasure do more than lift spirits. They trigger biological responses that increase immune cell production, reduce inflammation, and balance hormones, all essential pillars of well-being in later years. On the other hand, when intimacy quietly fades from daily life, so too do these protective processes. The immune system slows down, T and B cells grow weaker, antibody levels drop. You may not notice right away, but over time, the body begins to fragment in subtle ways. Lingering colds, recurring infections, slower wound healing, and a growing fatigue that seems to have no clear cause. Sex is not a luxury for the young. It is a natural form of immune therapy for the aging, a medicine that asks for no intensity, only consistency, gentleness, and sincerity. A loving touch, a deep kiss before bed, a long embrace. These seemingly simple acts help protect your body from within, one connection at a time. So if you're seeking a natural, sustainable way to strengthen your immune system, don't overlook one of your body's most ancient signals: the longing to connect, to love, and to be lovingly touched. There's something many don't expect, that the absence of intimacy in old age doesn't just leave evenings feeling empty. It seeps into the spirit, settles between emotional folds like dust and wrinkles, and quietly intensifies stress and anxiety in ways that feel deeper than ever. At 60, 70, or 80, life may slow down on the outside, but inner pressure rarely fades, it simply changes form. Worries about health, the ache of loneliness, the quiet distance growing in a relationship, all of it builds beneath the surface. A silent current that's hard to name, but impossible to ignore. And yet, sex, often dismissed as unnecessary or indulgent at this age, can become a powerful release valve. Every moment of physical closeness, even something as simple as a longer than usual hug, a tender look, or a sincere moment of shared vulnerability, sparks a gentle cascade of healing. Dopamine lifts the spirit, oxytocin soothes fear, serotonin brings balance to the emotional tides. This isn't just chemistry, it's restoration from within. When intimacy disappears, those healing messengers vanish too. The mind forgets where to rest. Tension builds without outlet. Negative thoughts begin to take root. Small worries become floods, No one touches you, and eventually, you forget how to touch yourself with kindness, with grace. Stress becomes an uninvited guest, showing up in restless nights, irritability, and mysterious aches that no doctor can explain. But here's the beautiful truth. It's never too late to begin again. It doesn't take wild passion, just presence, just sincerity, just a little closeness to remind you that you are still loved, still worthy of affection, still capable of living your days not in survival mode, but in softness, in peace, free from the grip of stress and the weight of unspoken fears. There's something few people have the courage to admit. When sex leaves a relationship, the break doesn't come with fireworks. It comes quietly, slowly, invisibly, like a gentle drift that neither person fully sees until they're far apart. At 60, 70, even 80, many couples still love each other, still share meals, a bed, a life, but they no longer touch. The spontaneous kisses fade. The hugs without reason disappear. The lingering glances of gentle desire are replaced by glances of routine. They become survival teammates rather than lovers. And that not age is what quietly erodes intimacy. Sex is not just a physical act. It's a language of connection, of trust, of shared vulnerability. Every time two people reach for one another, they're saying, "I still see you. I still need you. We still belong to each other." When that language disappears, the space between two people grows colder, even if they're still sleeping in the same bed. Conversations become practical, centered around medication, grandchildren, and dinner, but stripped of the emotional ingredients that once nourished the bond. Many people think, at this age, does it really matter? But it does. That mindset often robs them of one of life's most sacred gifts, the feeling of being deeply loved, of being truly alive. So many couples don't divorce, but they do drift. They don't argue, but they stop touching. They don't hate, but they no longer wait for each other at the door. The beauty is this connection can be revived. A deliberate touch, a gaze held a few seconds longer, a compliment offered out of the blue. These small gestures can reopen a world you thought was gone. Don't let silence decay the most beautiful part of your relationship, because if love is still there, so is the chance to reignite not just the body, but the soul. There's a truth many shy away from as they enter the later chapters of life. The body will slowly forget how to engage in intimacy if it's no longer stirred, touched, and maintained. Not because desire has died, but because, like every part of the body, the sexual system needs regular use to stay alive. Just as muscles weaken when we stop moving, the reproductive system slows down when we stop nurturing it with affection and connection. In men, this often shows up as slower arousal, weaker or delayed erections, and a general decline in responsiveness. In women, it may manifest as vaginal dryness, reduced elasticity, and discomfort or even pain during intercourse. These changes don't arrive overnight. They creep in silently day by day, making the idea of returning to sexual intimacy feel awkward, intimidating, or even impossible. Many choose avoidance simply because it's not like it used to be, but the more we avoid, the faster this natural part of ourselves begins to fade. Even more disheartening, when the body is no longer touched, the feeling of being truly alive starts to dim. We lose connection not only with our partner, but also with ourselves. Joy becomes muted. Confidence fades. The ability to feel, to really feel, slips quietly into the background. But here's the beautiful truth. The body remembers. Even after years of distance, it only takes small steps, a warm embrace, a loving gaze, a gentle caress to awaken what you thought was gone. Keeping your sexual self alive, even in the simplest, most tender ways, isn't about performance. It's about staying in touch with your humanity. It's how the body continues to respond, to love, to feel. Don't wait for silence to make you long for what was always within reach. The body forgets, but it also forgives. It remembers how to awaken, if only you give it the chance. And that chance always begins with you. No one else can choose for you whether your body stays silent or comes alive again. Even if the physical changes make you feel unsure, self-conscious, or even ashamed, remember, you are not alone. Millions of older adults around the world have felt the same. Many once believed their sex life was over for good, but the truth is, it was never gone. It was simply waiting to be awakened. Reclaiming your sexual vitality in later life doesn't begin with technique or enthusiasm. It begins with permission. The permission to be soft, to be curious, to rediscover yourself without judgment. You don't need to be who you were. You just need to be honest with who you are now. Your body at 60, 70, or 80 is not outdated. It speaks a different language of love, one that asks to be heard and understood in its own way. In fact, many sexual health experts believe that old age is the time when sex can become more refined, more soulful, and more deeply connected than ever before. No longer a race for performance, it becomes a journey of presence, of listening, of feeling every breath, every touch, every moment with intention. At this age, you carry the richness of experience, the calm of a steady heart, and if you're willing to open yourself again, you might just find the aliveness you thought you had lost. Begin with the small things. Care for your own skin, your breath, the quiet sensations in your body. Reach gently for your partner's hand. Linger a little longer in each other's gaze. Rest your head beside theirs in silence, letting presence speak louder than words. Learn to care for your intimate health as naturally as you do the rest of your well-being, not as something shameful, but as something sacred. See a doctor when you need help, not out of embarrassment, but as a gift of compassion to yourself. Each small act tells your body, I still want to love. I am still here. And your body will respond, slowly, gently, but without fail. Blood will flow again. Tissues will soften. Nerves will relearn pleasure. Your heart will beat not from fear, but from anticipation. And your eyes will shine not because you look younger, but because you've chosen not to turn away from joy at this age. Because sex in later life isn't just a continuation of the past, it's the beginning of a new chapter. One where the body, the soul, and love meet in mutual respect and awakening. Let your body remember that truth. Start today.